Hi guys. All right, week 2, hopping in here. I'm gonna try to always get your assignments up on Sunday so that you can get started right away on Monday. If you're seeing this and it's Sunday, you do not have to do work today. It's the weekend. But I'm gonna do 2 lessons with you again this week and an assessment. If you did not get the Edulastic assessment done last week, you need to get that done. It's due tomorrow. I'll be putting them into Progress Book and I'll be contacting anyone who didn't get it done, or if you didn't do well, I might be contacting you and trying to answer some questions and have you redo it, because we don't have as many grades right now for just doing 1 assessment a week, and so I really want that grade to be a good grade. I also want you to know what you're doing. So we're gonna start factoring this week, which I love factoring. And even with the air test being canceled, you guys are taking a high school class, and so this stuff will follow you. You'll need to know this stuff in Algebra 2 for sure, and then there's some factoring and things you'll want to know in geometry. So we're gonna for sure finish this unit, and then we'll see what we do after that, since we don't have to test. And what are you guys doing? Because we're bored. I feel like during the week when I'm working and the boys are working, we are not as bored because we have stuff to do. But this weekend we've been kind of bored, or at least I have been. I'm probably the most extroverted and outgoing of the people in my house, and I miss my friends and I miss my students. So let me know what you're doing. Tell me if there's like a good Netflix show or a movie that the boys and I could watch, and Brian, or if you've read any really good books that you want to pass my way, just let me know. So even if you aren't commenting on the content because you don't have any questions, you can go ahead and comment and let me know if you have any pointers or tips of fun things you've been doing at home. All right, these are the notes for today. Oops, sorry. So this is factoring. Factoring a GCF is the topic for today, and a GCF is a greatest common factor. What you're gonna wanna do first is do the warm-up. The warm-up is just distributing. So you maybe pause the video, because I'm gonna go ahead and do it, but pause the video and do it on your own. Do the warm-up. Okay, so when we distribute, we just multiply. So a times 3a is 3a squared. A times 7 is 7a. Negative 2n times m squared is negative 2m to the 3rd power. Negative 2m times 6m is negative 12m squared. And then negative 2 times a negative 1 is a positive 2. For this one, when we distribute, just really watch your variables, because you just want to add the exponents for the x's for that one and then add for the y for that one. So 4x to the 3rd y times x squared is going to be 4x to the 5th y. And then when you multiply here, we're going to have minus 8x to the 3rd y. Okay, so when we factor, we go backwards. We take a simplified polynomial and we move it backwards to the factored form. So today we're doing GCF. So simplest form would be something like ax plus ay, right? And then when we factor it out, we'd want that a out, and it would be x plus y. Polynomials that can't be factored are called prime. We've dealt with prime things before. Let's read through some of this. It says, there are several factoring methods. The approach depends on the polynomial. We will start by identifying and factoring out the greatest common factor, or GCF, of the polynomial. Our steps for this: identify the GCF. Check the coefficients for a GCF. Now look at the variables. A variable must be present in all terms. In order for them to be alike, they'd have to be in all terms. Looking back at this one, if I factored out my x to the 3rd, it's because both of these had that in it. You have to have both of that in there, okay? And then I had the y also, so we could factor that out. Okay. It starts really basic though, you'll see. That's a kind of complicated polynomial to factor GCF out of, so you'll see it starts smaller. And then you can always check your work by distributing. If you distribute back through, you should end up with your original answer. And so we divide each term by the GCF and put it on the outside of the parentheses. So 3x and 12. My greatest common factor there is 3, right? If you're talking about greatest common factor, you're thinking, what can I divide out of both of those terms? And then greatest means what's my biggest number. So a 3 is the biggest thing. And then you just divide. 3x divided by 3 is going to be 1x. 12 divided by 3 is going to be 4. Okay. I'm not going to do all of these with you. I'm probably going to hop around. 5x and 30y. They have a 5 in common. They both have a variables, but they don't have anything in common. So it's just going to be 5, and then you'll have x plus 6y left inside. Okay. On the next page, let's hop around a little bit. 6a squared plus 27. We've got a 3 there. 2a squared plus 9. Okay. Let's start looking at some variables then. Number 6 right away has y in common. So this is, if you look first at your coefficients, 4 and 24, your greatest common factor there is 4. And then if you look at your variables, y squared and y, your greatest between those two is just a y. You cannot divide a y squared out of a y. When you divide here, you'll just be left with a y, and then minus 6 for that one. Okay. Look at number 9. 15a squared b minus 30ab. Coefficients in common are 15 and 30. The greatest common factor between those two is 15. And then for my variables, I have a squared and a. So the smallest one there is going to be just an a. And then they both have a b. So 15ab is the GCF. So that's much more complicated than just a 3. So what I have left over when I divide this term is just an a. And then for this one I have minus 2. Now, this is what I mean by you can always factor back out and see, or multiply back out and see if you end back up with the first polynomial. When we multiply here, I would get 15a squared b, and then 15 times 2 minus 30ab. So it should be the same. That's a way to check your work, and it is, right? And then another common mistake I see is you don't always take the greatest. Like, what if you just did a 5 here, and you only divided a 5 out? Well, you just want to make sure you're checking those terms inside and seeing, do they have anything else in common? When you get to the bottom, you just have 3 terms. Nothing too crazy, you just have to look at all 3. So for 17, you have 6, 14, and 10. The greatest between those 3 is just 2. But then I have y to the 4th, y to the 3rd, and y to the 2nd. I'm going to take a y to the 2nd out. That's the smallest of those 3. So then left is a 3y squared plus 7y minus 5. So just like scan back through that factored form and see, do these have anything in common? They don't, right? So as long as they multiply back out, I did it right. Okay, I'm gonna leave you guys there, let you guys practice from that. Just if you get stuck on something, just go ahead and you can ask me what the answer is, or ask me for clarification. And so just get working.